Okay, so picture this. It's the very first day of the World War II invasion of Yugoslavia. The capital city is literally in flames. And in the middle of all that chaos, a small group of airmen does something, well, something unthinkable. They decide to fight back. We're going to dig into this incredible and mostly forgotten story of immediate and audacious revenge. So let's jump right into the action. A Yugoslav bomber is screaming towards enemy territory, flying low. The navigator gets ready to drop the bombs, and he shouts, "This is for Belgrade." I mean, you have to understand, this wasn't some mission that was planned for weeks. No, this was pure, raw, spontaneous revenge. So the big question is, how? How on earth did they pull this off? Let's piece this whole thing together and figure out how, against all the odds, these guys launched one of the very first Allied bombing raids on soil that was now part of the Third Reich. All right, so to really get the why behind the revenge, we have to go back a few hours. We're talking dawn, April 6th, 1941. Out of absolutely nowhere, with no declaration of war, the Nazi Luftwaffe just unleashes this massive, terrifying aerial assault on the capital city, Belgrade. And look, the sheer scale of this surprise attack, it's just staggering. We're talking about 234 bombers. They dropped over 400 tons of bombs on a city that had been declared open, which basically means it was undefended. So let's be clear, this wasn't a military strike. This was pure terror, designed to absolutely shatter the nation's will to fight back. So, while Belgrade is literally burning, you've got the 8th Bomber Regiment way over at Rofin Airfield, and they are completely cut off, totally isolated. Their comms lines to high command? Gone. They actually found out their capital city was being destroyed the same way everybody else did, by listening to the public radio. And right there, in all that chaos, they made a decision. And you have to appreciate just how fast this all went down. Okay, so the first bombs hit Belgrade at 6:30 in the morning. By noon, with zero orders from the top brass, by the way, the local commander just goes ahead and activates an emergency war plan. And then get this, by 2:40 in the afternoon, just a little over 8 hours after the attack started, their bombers are taking off, heading straight for the Third Reich. Incredible! So what was this mission all about? It's important to know, this wasn't some crazy suicide run. No, this was a calculated strike. It was designed to hit the Germans where it really hurt, and, hopefully, slow down their whole invasion. Now, the strike force itself was, well, it was tiny. We're talking just 2 Bristol Blenheim bombers, which were pretty fast and modern for the time, plus a small escort of 2 fighters. And their main goal was totally strategic: mess with the German army's assembly points. And you gotta remember the names at the heart of this thing. Guys like navigators Ivan Panza and Ivan Salovich, and the pilot, a guy named Carlo Mirko. And you have to hear this. This is a first-hand account from the pilot, Carlo Mirko himself. To stay off the radar, they flew dangerously low, practically scraping the trees on their way into Austria. He actually said the treetops were literally disappearing right under his feet. That's how low they were flying. So where were they headed? Their destination was Graz, a major city in Austria, which was now, of course, part of the Third Reich. But they weren't just bombing a city for the sake of it. No, they were going after its main railway station and freight yard. Think of it as the logistical heart, the thing pumping German troops and all their supplies right to the invasion front. And here it is, the climax of the attack, right from Mirko's mouth. They pull up, they let the bombs fly, and they score direct hits. You can just feel the raw emotion in his words, right? That mix of excitement and pure satisfaction. They did it. They took the fight straight to the enemy's doorstep on day 1. But, getting there was only half the battle. Now they had to get back. On the way out, they dive low again, so low that a couple of German Messerschmitts chasing them just can't get a clean shot off. And, as if that's not enough, they even take a second to strafe a German military column they see on a road below. And the incredible part? Despite getting quite shot up, as they said, every single plane made it back to base. Okay, so what did this incredibly daring raid actually accomplish? Well, when you start digging into the records from both sides of the conflict, a really interesting and kind of complex picture starts to form. From the Yugoslav point of view, it was a total success. They went, they bombed, they all came back. But what's really surprising is that the Austrian archives actually back them up. They confirm significant damage. A huge warehouse went up in flames, taking 60 vehicles and a ton of vital supplies with it. And maybe the most telling detail of all, After this one raid, Graz didn't get bombed again for 4 whole years. But here's where the story takes a fascinating and kind of lucky turn for the Germans. Those same Austrian sources report that 4 of the bombs landed smack in the middle of 500 soldiers from a panzer division. But they never exploded. They were duds. And the thinking is this might have actually been due to sabotage back at the airfield, that someone installed faulty fuses on the bombs before they ever took off. So you have this incredible, significant act of defiance, and yet, for decades, it was basically scrubbed from the history books, just gone. The big question is, why? Well, the answer isn't because the mission was insignificant, far from it. In fact, you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to the German field marshal who is in charge of the invasion. At his war crimes trial in 1947, he actually admitted that these small Yugoslav air raids significantly slowed the German advance. I mean, that's a pretty powerful admission coming straight from the enemy commander. Nope, the real reason this story got buried comes down to one thing: politics. After the war, the new communist government running Yugoslavia, well, they had zero interest in celebrating heroes from the old Royal Army. They wanted to discredit that whole era, and so the unbelievable bravery of these men was just conveniently forgotten. But that spirit of defiance, it lived on in the men who were actually there. Take Ivan Celovic, for example, one of the navigators on the raid. After Yugoslavia fell, he was captured, but he escaped and joined the anti-fascist partisans. He didn't just fight. He went on to help found their very first air squadron and eventually became a top commander. His life really bridged 2 different eras of the same fight. So this whole incredible story, this act of immediate revenge on day one, was basically hidden for 75 years. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other stories just like this, these amazing acts of courage, are still out there, just waiting to be found in the footnotes of history?